Welcome to the party, pals. GRC Mafia. Let me just double check this one other thing real quick. All right. I hope everybody's having a great Wednesday Eve. All right, awesome. I wanted to make sure that it was actually coming through the correct microphone. So right out the gate, we're here to break down barriers, foster collaboration and community within the space, working towards a more secure future together. Definitely a learning and growing environment. Now, during these streams, we typically haven't brought people up on stage, but I definitely want everybody to have that ability if you would like to. So if you have a question, you want to engage in, actual conversation up on stage, just let me know, and I'm more than happy to drop that link for you. Also, definitely drop questions and any resources and so forth. One of the best places to drop links, though, including your social media profiles, is inside of our Discord server. So I just dropped a link for that. You can hop into our Discord server, go over to the live chat channel, and then you could drop your personal LinkedIn resources and other, other links and so forth that will get relayed to the rest of the platforms that we stream to. If you do share something that you don't want to be public, just reach out to me on Discord, LinkedIn. You can also contact me at contact@studygrc.org. And then, of course, we also have B-Dubs' website, which we mention every single day. So she puts out a cybersecurity GRC blog every single Monday, and also has the ongoing CISSP study group as well, which just so happens to be going on later tonight. So 6 p.m. tonight, Central Time, will be the next study group for that. You can see that link in chat as well. Welcome, Josh, Bentek, Rania, Regine. Oh, Future Quest is back again. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing with the Discord is it's a big love-hate relationship, really. Considering privacy is a big thing for me and so forth. GRC Mafia Cam. And then, of course, we also have our website as well. For the rest of the platforms we stream to, our calendar, which provides the most up-to-date information on what's coming up. And then also our resources page, which I'm hoping to actually revamp here in the near future. And also, don't forget about our giveaway as well. So this month, every single month, we have a giveaway. It's sponsored by cyber.com. And that's without the E, which I'm actually going to go ahead and drop that in chat real quick as well. But we have a NIST RMF book, and then also a Study GRC t-shirt this month, sponsored by cyber.com. Now, with that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and transition over here. We'll go ahead and get this pulled up here. Everybody having a good week so far? Oh, and then also, definitely don't forget that we also have this ongoing survey. So I've made a commitment that I'm going to keep talking about this all week long. So if you guys do have a few moments to fill out the survey, we do have the State of Study GRC this Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Time. And we are trying to conduct this survey. I dropped the link in chat. It's 15 questions in length, and that's going to, really impact our decision making. We definitely want to see what would be the best ways and what the community wants for the resources that we have available. And then I'm pulling up the policy right now. I think we're going to go over asset management next. Oh, wrong one. And then let me get this fit in here. There we go. Go ahead and get that moved out of the way. We got Space Tacos popping in too. GRC Mafia. Cam says not too shabby for a Wednesday Eve. The weather seems desperately wants to reach 70 degrees. Yeah. It's I guess it's kind of warming up, right? A little bit. Josh, allergy starting up. Yeah. It's that time of year now. What? It is 38 degrees here. 38 degrees and sunny. So it's basically jogging weather now. Welcome to the party, pal, Jeffrey. But yeah, drop what your guys' wins are already this week. Tomorrow we also have our GRC Let's Get Technical, where we'll talk about VPNs. And I'm also going to actually showcase, I want to start doing those hands-on aspect. So we'll actually deploy WireGuard, which is a type of VPN in the cloud. Welcome to the party, pal, PBO. All right, so let's go ahead and start talking here. So this is the asset management policy. We went over some of the different stuff yesterday. I still have to copy over the header information here. We'll get those added. After we're done with this series, I'm trying to keep it to, I believe, 3 or 4 is what I calculated out for each video that we need to do in order to stay on track. And once we're done with that, I'm just going to go through and like share it in Discord or publish it or otherwise for these policies, which we'll have everything on there for. I think one interesting thing, if you guys might have joined us with the portfolio building with ZMF and also Dennis last night, ZMF had done a presentation about GitHub pages. And so maybe we'll start using GitHub for some of these what I would consider open source documents for Study GRC. Rania says the sun does nothing at 38 degrees. I think it does. 38's not bad. It's above freezing. A Discord invite code. So the best thing to do is to go to studygrc.org / or it's actually discord. I believe. Yeah, so Discord is the subdomain. So discord.studygrc.org or just off of the website there. That's our Discord invite future quest. And then we do have it locked down in there. If you have any issues joining at all, if anybody ever does, just reach out to me. My contact information is on the first page that you see before you can get verified. It's really the best place at this point. We have looked at other options, but we'll talk more about that this weekend during the State of Study GRC. 90 degrees? Yeah, no thanks. Oh, New York City has a freeze warning. Okay. Sounds like a plan. Welcome to the party, pal. Freeze warning. That's crazy. I think New York is one of those states that's not on my bucket list. I know some people up there in Maine and New Hampshire, though. All right, so the asset management policy. We're defining the purpose and the scope here. This is going to be a pretty broad one as well. So establishing the asset management policy, the goals are to acquire, track, maintain, dispose of assets efficiently, effectively, and efficiently is what that should say. Protect assets from loss, theft, or misuse. Ensure financial accountability and compliance with legal standards. Support our strategic objectives through responsible resource management. And this is like one of those fundamental things. Before you even go through and do anything, you have to, categorize and identify, what are we protecting anyways? What do we have that we need to protect? What devices do we have? What types of information and what are their sensitivity levels? We have to actually go through, categorize, identify what we are even doing. So, this is what really leads to, the very start where you need to have your asset inventory and so forth. And an asset can be a lot of things. So like it states right here, physical assets, intangible assets, and IT assets. So we're talking software licenses, patents, trademarks, furniture, vehicles, equipment, buildings, computers, servers, mobile devices. So there's a lot of different things that's considered an asset. And it does define here too any item of value owned and controlled by the organization, such as equipment or software. And that's one of the key distinctions to make as well in information security as an asset, is any item of value. Bam. Future Quest Technologies is in the Discord. You all are warned. Welcome to the party, pal. Space tacos, yeah, don't bother. I'm biased and never wanted to live here. No offense to any New York natives. It's just not the place for me. Nice to visit, though. Josh, none taken. All right. Yeah, and again, if you guys could fill out that survey and so forth, I want to get as many of those submitted in as possible this week. I've already been reviewing those for this Saturday. And then we also define asset register. So, that could also be defined as an asset inventory, a detailed list of all assets, including location, value, and other key information, custodian, depreciation, and also fair market value. We had briefly discussed fair market value yesterday as well. Some of the roles and responsibilities. This is where we're probably going to make some changes. This was the other committee that I wanted to do as well. So we had talked about the ethics committee yesterday. An organization typically is going to have numerous different committees. And we're definitely going to do the ethics committee and then also a finance committee as well. So those are going to be two different areas that we are going to form based out of these policies as well. Welcome to the party, pal, Yalamed. And you told me your nickname before, but it lost my mind already. I think it was KA or something along those lines for your nickname. I completely forgot. But welcome to the party, pal. GRC Mafia. And then also IT team. So Study GRC, as you guys well know, small nonprofit organization. We don't have an IT team. However, we could still define an IT team as those who manages IT assets. Same thing with our procurement team. So anybody could be considered on the procurement team that is acquiring assets. And we're still going to, a lot of these different policies are going to talk about employees, volunteers, the board of directors. There's also officers as well. So the way that the company structured itself is that we technically have officers for the company side, which is the board itself, and which is all volunteer. And then we also have the board of directors, which is the same people as the officers as well. So they technically, on paper, hold two separate roles as officers for the organization and then also as directors as well. That's just how the company is structured, for a little bit more insight on that as well. So then acquiring assets, decision criteria. Acquisitions are based on operational needs, budget availability, and alignment with organizational goals. Purchases over $100 requires a treasurer, so standing CFO approval. That would be B-dubs. And I don't see B-dubs in chat right now, but B-dubs is the standing CFO. So we opted for the C-suite naming, just because we feel that it applies more to our industry. But also with nonprofits, you typically have, president rather than CEO. You typically have treasurer instead of CFO, and a couple other differences as well. You typically will have a secretary and so forth as well. There are interchangeable names though. And then purchases over $500 requires a board of directors approval. And so this outlines, at what stages you need to handle things. Sunky, okay. Oh, B-dubs dark mode. B-dubs is off the grid. Emergency acquisitions. For emergency needs, department heads may request expedited approval from the board of directors. That's one of the different benefits with Study GRC in particular, is we do have quite availability for the directors. And then this is another term that should actually be defined within our policies, is department heads. And so that is going to be any type of supervisors, managers, anybody who's, at that level for, management level. So that's going to be typically in between, normal volunteers or employees and the board of directors, at least in our existing company structure. Procurement process. Vendors are selected through competitive bidding or multiple quotes. So that is definitely going to be a big one. So we need to do our due diligence and, actually get bids, get multiple different options and so forth, and figure out what would be the best for our actual mission with our resource capability and why are we actually getting it. Documentation, purchase orders, invoices, warranties are all retained for all acquisitions. We do have software for that, which puts everything into one spot, which we will eventually be doing some type of business impact assessment on as well. We do enforce MFA already in any locations we are capable of doing so. So asset register, a centralized record of all assets, including a description and type, a unique identifier, such as a barcode or serial number, if available, purchase date and cost, location and custodian, depreciation schedule. This is also where it gets a little bit more difficult, is depreciation. There's a calculation for that and so forth. That would be followed. And I believe we are going to outline that quarterly, I believe. We may actually move that to annual. Welcome to the party, pal. Age. I'm horrible at names in the first place, but I'm trying. Accessibility. The asset register is accessible to relevant personnel for transparency and accountability. This is also going to be one of the different benefits is we do want to have that transparency as much as we possibly can. And the asset inventory should be one of those things that we can have available. But again, we do still want to define that it should be accessible. Tagging physical assets are labeled for easy identification and tracking purposes. We have very limited physical devices at this time, but things may change as well. And so we want to include some of that from the get-go. Software and digital assets are tracked in a dedicated system. That's a little bit, that may actually get removed because I think that's kind of redundant there. Maintaining assets, preventative maintenance. Assets are maintained according to manufacturer guidelines to ensure optimal performance. And that's an important step as well. So this is going to, I think we even included something about, repairs. Minor repairs are handled in-house or by approved vendors. Major repairs require asset manager approval. That's probably going to be another change that we make is like board approval. But then also this preventative maintenance is kind of interesting. We may change around some of the wording for that or otherwise to make it more relevant. Emergency downtime, depreciation, depreciating assets. Initial evaluation. Assets are recorded at purchase cost, including incidental expenses, shipping, or installation. Depreciation method. The straight line method is used by default for computers depreciated over 5 years. Alternative methods may be applied if required by asset type or accounting standards. So we are going to try to follow GAAP. I think it's GAPP or GAAP for general accounting procedures and processes, which also outlines a lot of this information for depreciation and how you calculate that out, how that should be documented and everything else, which I believe at this time on our financial management policy, we have it outlined quarterly, which is probably going to be moved to annually just because of the time commitment there. Correct. Yeah. And that's definitely one of the reasons to also be going through these drafts here. So like Age mentions here is should just be able to reference that practice and not have to redefine an asset policy. And so that would already be defined in our financial management policy as well. And so, yeah, we should be able to just reference that, that we would follow the as dictated in the finance management or financial management policy, I believe is what it was called. Age also mentions most buildings and equipment are at least 10 years, but often determined by leasing parameters. IT equipment is usually depreciated at 3-year, telecom equipment 3 to 5. Yeah, there's a whole chart and information out there and multiple strategies as well. Protecting assets, physical security. This is also where we could go through and outline our incident response policy. We can also outline our information security policy as well. So this is another section, just like Age was mentioning, where we can, rather than having to state all of that information again, we can go through and just reference that other policy that would be relevant to it. Checking assets, annual inventory. So a full asset count is conducted yearly and reconciled with the asset register. Random audits. The finance team, which this is another thing where we'll probably change this to finance committee or otherwise, performs unannounced audits to verify compliance and accuracy. Randomly when we have time or maybe a community member wants to go through and make sure that our inventory is correct and updated, then that could be considered just a random audit. Discrepancy resolution, investigated and corrected promptly. Following rules and training. So compliance, we adhere to all applicable law, legal, and accounting standards. Yeah, here's that GAAP. That's a really interesting thing to look into. There's a lot of stuff that coincides with it. I am not an accountant, but definitely learning some of that is not a bad thing whatsoever. Asset custodians and handlers receive initial training upon assignment and annual refreshers. So these people who need to manage this will be trained and have that access and so forth. And then this is another one of those policies that needs to be thrown into it states employee handbook, but this would most likely be changed over to maybe not employee handbook, but maybe our guidelines, not guidelines book, but we'll come up with another key term for that. Updating this policy, so we need to review this annually. Updates will be communicated via email, announcements, team meetings, additional trainings will be provided. So some of the different key information, and a lot of this stuff is based off of the SANS and the CIS policy templates. Let me go ahead and get the next one pulled up here. I think this one's ready to go as well. This is a pretty important one as well. So business continuity policy. I think this one's, this one goes over quite a bit of information as well. All right, so business continuity policy ensures that we can keep our critical operations running during and after any disruption, such as natural disasters, cyber attacks, or pandemics. So business continuity comes in many different forms. Maybe it is a pandemic, maybe it's a cyber attack or a breach, maybe it's a natural disaster. We can also just have hardware failures and so forth. And doing that planning and so forth can make quite a change, quite a difference. So some of the different definitions here, there's quite a few. This probably doesn't even define all of it. But so like disruptions that stops or harms normal business operations, a flood, cyber attack, power outage. So anything that affects our operations, that could be, affecting it just a little bit or completely halting operations. Critical functions, key activities we must keep going or restarting quickly to survive as an organization. So thankfully, probably one of our most critical functions is the live streaming platforms. I had mentioned this before when we were going through the CSF controls on the fact that thankfully we don't really handle very much, first of all, sensitive information, but then also, actual critical business related things either. Probably the most critical thing that we do handle is going to be our live streams themselves. And then also, even our recordings, we have multiple different backups. We have them on YouTube. We have them on other platforms. If we need to download those, we also we have a backup policy as well that we'll be covering one of these days that coincides with that. I believe it's a 3-2-1 backup. But like our streaming software is probably the most critical aspect of it, which is also most likely going to be one of those things that we actually have a backup system for, because at this time we are relying just on one product And if it does ever have an issue, then we have no other option. An incident, an event that could lead to a disruption if not managed properly. That should be defined differently too, I believe. We should change that wording for an incident. Business impact analysis. So BIA, we've talked about these before. We should probably do, I don't think we've done a dedicated video on a business impact analysis before, but it does outline some of that and where that would be used in here. Recovery time objective, RTO, the longest time we can wait to get a function back online, back up after a disruption. So recovery time objective. So when something goes down, what is the longest amount of time that we can go, or what is the recovery time, the objective that we want to meet with that? So we can actually dictate and state like, okay, we can't have this down for more than 2 hours or more than 1 hour or whatever it is. And then we need to, plan ahead for backups, failovers, and so forth. Recovery point objective, RPO, the most data we can afford to lose measured in time. So a lot of businesses and so forth, we've joked about it before, will say, oh, well, we can't lose any data at all. Everything is extremely important and we can have zero loss. That is extremely expensive. In a lot of cases, it may not even be feasible. And so, unfortunately, you do have to go through and actually outline how long that could be. Now, look at like a standard business and so forth. They may have it set up to where, every 4 hours, all of our systems are going to be backed up to the cloud automatically to, offline backups or otherwise. Maybe there's a NAS drive that it's backed up to as well, or even once a day. I think that's the most common that I've seen is, normal operating hours is 9 to 5, for an example. And, at 7 p.m. at night, then the systems will automatically go through and back up the data and so forth. So it definitely depends. Or even on like a website database or something along those lines, that there would be some type of backup procedures on that that's also based off of this RPO. So for recovery point objective. Business continuity plan, BCP. So a plan written with steps to handle and recover from disruptions. Resilience, our ability to adapt and recover quickly from disruptions. Jerry talks about resilience all the time and how that's really the objective here is that, we definitely realize that it's not if it's going to happen, it's when. So eventually we're going to have problems. Eventually something's going to go wrong. And until it does, we need to prepare ourselves the best we can to recover and adapt in those situations, which is really like one of the most important aspects is being able to bounce back from it and minimize that impact. So some of the different objectives here is to identify and prioritize our critical functions, assets, assess risks and impacts of disruptions, build strategies to keep operations going or restart them, assign clear rules and ensure open communication, protect our reputation and maintain customer trust, follow all legal, regulatory, and contract rules. Some of the other information there as well. Roles and responsibilities. So we do outline a BCM, so Business Continuity Manager. This is most likely going to be like one of the board members or otherwise. So like our standing CISO will most likely be assigned as the BCM for Business Continuity Manager. Leads the creation, implementation, and updates of our BCP. Works with external groups like emergency services. Department heads identify critical functions in their areas and help along the process. IT department, which is probably another one of those terms that we're going to redefine, along with employees as well. Asset, so risk assessment and business impact analysis, BIA. So every year we'll check for internal and external threats, such as cyber attacks, storms, supply chain issues, and weaknesses that could stop our work. We'll document those results to update our BCP. So at least annually, we are going to go through and do the business impact analysis on different things that could affect our business continuity. And then, it says here every 2 years, which is another thing that should probably be changed. So listing critical functions and what they depend on, systems, people, suppliers, measures the operational and financial hit if they stop, set the RTOs and RPOs for each function, keep a record of findings for review and audit. And then also we have an additional note, if our business environment changes quickly, we'll update the BIA more often. So that could be updated. Maybe we get new devices, or we start using a different platform, or our standard workflows change, or our tooling changes or otherwise, then we may need to do that sooner. Continuity strategies. Prioritization, we'll use the BIA to decide which functions come first during a disruption. We need to organize that. We need to actually prioritize like what actually matters. Like if we lose access to our backup, but everything's working, how critical is that? Resources will ensure we have enough people, technology, budget to make these plans work. That is extremely broad and probably not too relevant there. That's probably going to get reworded as well. And also age mentions something to consider is typically the CIO, so Chief Information Officer, or the CTO, Chief Technology Officer, is responsible for the BC and DR, since all IT assets should have a DR plan, regardless of whether they include the subsets of security components. That's probably what's going to end up happening. We do have the CTO as well, and so it's probably going to be a team effort there. Yeah, and Age mentions that the CISO in that role is often too narrow. Yeah, Josh mentions BIAs can be a huge effort. 1 to 2 years seems pretty reasonable, but not sure if the period will run afoul of other recommendations, best practices, or audit requirements. Yeah, and something else that I've seen before too is that, we can outline this as 2 years, but that's also why we have that section there that if things change rapidly or significantly, then we may need to do it more often. So having that dictated out is also an important mention. I believe that our actual assessments are also going to be on an annual basis, but depending on the organization, it's not a bad thing to state out 2 years. So. And I mean, it's not a small feat to go through and identify all of that different stuff and prioritize everything and flow that down and so forth. There's a lot of stuff that coincides. Incident response and recovery plans, incident response plan. This is also something that would link out to our actual incident response procedures. It's literally outlining it for, relation to this policy, clear communication to employees, customers, and others, checking how bad the disruption is, the escalation process. If a disruption worsens, we'll follow a clear process to involve higher management or external help. That's where these procedures in relation to incident response would come in later on. And that's also where a lot of these policies are, very initial draft. So we're going to probably knock a lot of these policies back, throw some of it into procedures, and then take it from there as well. Recovery plans. Each department will have a plan to restart critical functions within the RTOs and RPOs with step-by-step recovery instructions. lists of needed resources, such as equipment and staff, links to outside help. This is another thing that I think some businesses don't think about at the get-go, is that we should have at least a few vendors on a contact list in case of an issue. So, maybe it's our actual hardware, or, it depends on the business itself. But like for an example, ransomware, a company goes off and they get ransomware. They have no idea who the hell to contact if they didn't plan that out ahead of time. And so I've seen that happen before, where then they're frantically like, okay, who the hell do we even contact? How do we even do this? And so having these different vendors and companies that you may have to rely on during these incidences would probably be a key thing from the get-go before, left to boom. Josh mentions dictate the vendor review cycle. No need for annual review if they're low risk or low impact partner or vendor. So, okay, yeah. And to be honest, I don't know if we have that vendor review cycle in anything yet. If we did, I think that would probably be in our third party procurement and acquisitions or otherwise. We'll definitely see if we have a review cycle for the vendors outlined or not. I do not recall offhand. Communication will keep everyone updated during and after disruption. Another thing is especially, I would say, medium to large businesses even have dedicated communication platforms in case of an incident that's separate from their regular communications. So if you normally use Teams, there may be a different software or platform that you are supposed to use in case of disruptions. Oh, yeah. No worry, Josh. No, I really appreciate the feedback that you guys are throwing in, because this is also what's actually going to help us actually put this together. So, I went through and drafted up a lot of these policies based off of the SANS and CIS templates. And I don't recall a vendor review cycle that I went over at all. So that's actually a good shout out on the fact that if we don't have that, that's something we should have. And then also, just like these other mentions throughout these policies is definitely useful. So when we do go back over these, then we, have, better policies, procedures moving forward. Communication will keep everyone updated during and after disruptions. Decision making. This does dictate senior management. That's probably going to be reworded to the board for key decisions during disruptions, with advice from department heads. And then we also have our training and awareness. We need to, we're going to run off of an annual cycle for training for a lot of these different policies, where what the goal is going to be is to actually have like an hour or two long video that's going to outline a lot of these policies and procedures, and have that as an annual training of some sort, along with supplying these documents to volunteers and employees and the board every year, and having them actually sign off and review them. Department drills twice a year. Departments will practice their plans. There's also another one, I think it's in the incident response plan, or maybe the backup plan, where we'll actually go through and do tabletops quarterly, and then also an actual full recovery test annually as well. So we'll definitely come across that one in one of the other policies. Senior management exercises. Leaders will test their skills with annual scenario exercises. External partners, where it makes sense, will include suppliers or partners in training or drills. That's another important one that you'll see, especially in those medium and large businesses, where when they do different exercises, they will actually involve their third parties as well. That would also be affected. So maybe those are that software or some type of systems or something along those lines. Testing and maintenance, at least once a year, we'll test our plans with table. Oh yeah, here it literally states what I was just saying a moment ago. So tabletop exercises every quarter. And so this is something I was actually excited about, is I would like to go through and we would get maybe a couple of volunteers to participate and a couple of the people from the board or involved on the organization side to do a tabletop exercise every quarter. So I would like to do something like that more often, but it's not something easy to necessarily plan out and organize and, get people together at the same time and so forth. So this is something where we would most likely do maybe right before or shortly following the state of Study GRC every quarter. And then full drills annually, where we would test everything out and make sure that things are actually working. Simulations to check response, recovery, and communication. That's another key thing as well. And it wouldn't be a bad thing to have, failovers for communication as well. Our standard means of communication is Discord. And then on next to that would be email. And so, maybe we also need to fall back on Signal as another option for communication in these situations. There's also cell phones, maybe Google Meet or something for communications. There's multiple different options out there. Post-time review. After each test, we'll review what worked, note lessons, and fix plans. Maintenance, will update plans every year after big changes, after tests or real events. If we operate in a high-risk environment, we'll review plans more often. Thankfully, I don't foresee that really happening per se. Compliance and enforcement, definitely trying to meet all of these legal and regulatory rules for data protection laws. One of the other things that I did also mention is we do have our data, I believe we marked it as a data management and also a privacy policy as well. And we do want to go through and we do want to go through and do GDPR, CCPA for the privacy as well. So we'll be doing those compliance audits in the future as well, where we'll actually go through those regulations and check what we have already implemented, and then also what we need to implement. We may even throw in what I was thinking is do GDPR and then do CCPA. And then we would probably bolt on the NIST privacy framework. So just have to take a look at that and so forth. Audits, every 2 years, we'll audit our compliance and look for improvements. Consequences, if you don't follow this policy or join training and tests, you may face discipline like retraining or termination. So I've worked at organizations where people actually outright stated, "Oh, I'm not going to do this. I don't want to do training. I don't feel like it." Unfortunately, there would be some type of, and in the policies, we should actually dictate that it must be, completed within, completed annually with a, 3-week buffer or something along those lines as well. PBO also mentions the assistance for the incident response exercise a previous Saturday. And then also Space Tacos is disappointed, FOMO, for missing out on it. But yeah, PBO is putting together a really awesome 853 course. And then also we want to go through and review this and so forth as well. And this probably isn't something for the finance committee. This would be different. This currently existing states the finance committee. I don't feel that would apply. That should be changed as well. And you also can see here that we also have consulting external experts as needed. That may be reworded as well, because also what I'm looking at now that ZMF did that GitHub presentation, is we can upload these documents to GitHub, and then we can accept changes and updates from the community on our policies and procedures to assist us in building this out as well, which is then also documented, integrity, and so forth. All right, now we have a few more minutes here. So let me pick out one other one here. To stay on track, we do need to do like 3 of these per video. I think, yeah, so I think we can go over this volunteer policy relatively quickly. So some of you guys may not be aware, but we do have a volunteer program. We are going to define that a little bit better moving forward. We'll talk more about that this weekend. Definitely, if you guys haven't already, please, will you please, if you can spare a few moments of your time and fill out that survey if you hadn't already, it would mean a lot to us. We definitely want to have as much impact to the community and utilize what resources we do have available for the community itself. That's what we're here for, is for that community impact and what's useful for that. So we have a few more minutes, so I'm going to like fly through this a little bit. Yeah, and PVO says we missed you, Space Tacos. Okay, so our volunteer policy, it's thanking the volunteers and so forth. This policy is in regards to the volunteers and what they, some of the stuff that they need to follow. The purpose is, creates a clear framework for recruit management and to support them. We aim to provide a safe, welcoming, and fulfilling experience, protect our reputation, and follow all legal and ethical standards. This policy applies to everyone who volunteers with us, including individuals, interns, students, board members serving as volunteers. And so this policy also affects the board. None of us collect a paycheck. None of us make any money off of anything with Study GRC. It 100% goes into the operations. So the platforms that we use and the tools that we utilize and so forth. That's a really important thing to me. That's one of the reasons that we wanted to found it as a nonprofit itself. All right, so some of the different definitions here: a coordinator, a volunteer, a supervisor or manager. Volunteer role, your tasks, expectations, and skills needed for your position. For a volunteer role description, and then also our volunteer agreement. Now, we do have an existing volunteer agreement. That was I'm not even going to lie, the volunteer agreement was such a pain to develop. Yeah, it was rough. Let's put it that way. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that we got it right. Thankfully, I feel that we do have a really good volunteer agreement, but that did require quite a few revisions. All right, and then knocking out the rest of this real quick. So roles and responsibilities, we're dictating what each person is responsible for. This is directed towards volunteers. Each and every single one of those people are considered a volunteer. So do your task the best you can, follow the rules and guidelines, tell your supervisor. Recruitment and selection, identifying needs. We create a volunteer role based on what we need to make real impact. Role descriptions. Every role comes with a clear description of duties, time commitment, skills needed, and who to report to. Promoting opportunities. We'll share volunteer opportunities via our website, social media, and through community partners. Probably one of the best methods as far as the volunteer portion goes in is, this is definitely something that we need to spend more time on, especially for official volunteers. But that's probably the Discord server is like going to be the number one place, and our live streams. I typically try to hold a lot of the main communications during our Thursday meeting, which is typically our primary. Also, FutureQuest asks, Is there ever a preference for the R&Rs to be displayed as bulletins or a table? Roles and responsibilities. Ideally, what I would like is a RACI matrix. That's something that I would like to develop, which would be considered a table. So that's what we'll probably do is build a template for a volunteer description document, and we would have some type of RACI matrix that would be customizable to that particular role. PVO, boo Discord. So we'll talk more about it on Saturday and so forth. I am still invested with Discord. We have that's our primary community area and so forth. It just makes it a lot easier. But we are definitely open to other options. So if you guys are not aware, Discord is already testing advertisements throughout the platform already. And they last time I checked and what I heard is that they're planning a full all-platform rollout for advertisements come June this year. So not only for continuity, but then also just as an additional option, I think it would be a good idea to have a secondary platform that we can utilize as well. Revolt.chat is one of those options. Revolt.chat is one of those other options that's like a Discord knockoff that's open source and free. What time on Saturday is what Robin's asking. So Saturday at 11 a.m. Central is going to be our State of Study GRC quarter 2. Every single quarter we go through and we'll outline what was completed in the last, some of the different milestones that we made, some of the different decisions and so forth. This time we'll also be reviewing this survey that we have out right now, which is also going to impact our decision making moving forward as well. It also opens up the stage for the community to come up and provide additional feedback and so forth on all aspects of it as well. We're very, very strongly community built, community driven. So you can find that on our YouTube channel, but I'll actually drop a link to it as well. So that's the link to our State of Study GRC this Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Time. That's going to be noon Eastern. And then also, Space Taco says ads. Now I want to riot. Yeah, I've been using Discord for a long time. I think it is a decent platform, but it definitely has its issues. And they are already testing it in a limited user group on mobile devices. But I'm really trying to play it by ear. I think regardless, it would be a benefit to have a different platform available. Not everybody uses Discord, and there are some other options out there. If you guys have any recommendations for other community applications or otherwise, some of the different aspects that we definitely need is the amount of users. Like I would love to just do a Signal group as an option as a secondary as well, except for the fact that there are limitations on how many people you can have in a group. Telegram might be one of those. I'm not a huge fan of Telegram, but that may be an option. And then also that revolt.chat is probably one of the best ones that I've come across as a secondary. I don't know how bad the ads are going to be. I've heard things as bad as like when you click on a server, if you don't have Nitro, you have to actually watch like a 15-second ad when you access a server or different things like that. I don't know exactly the details on it. They've left it very vague. They haven't really had clear communication regarding it. But I did hear about a rollout of June this year, so we'll definitely find out. But yeah, we're already a couple minutes over, so I'm going to fly through the rest of this real quick. We have our recruitment selection process here for promoting it. The application process, you'll fill out an application. Some roles may need references or background checks. If you do anything with money or otherwise, then a background check is going to be required. An interview will be conducted based on your fit, and then we'll have onboarding and so forth as well. Orientation, training, That's one of the biggest things that we also want to provide is we want to make sure that some POC, point of contact, is provided for assistance and so forth and whatever you're volunteering for. A volunteer handbook is going to be created for a lot of those policies and procedures, along with maybe workflows or otherwise as well. Policy acknowledgement will be required. So you'll have to sign off that you understand the policies, that you've received them and so forth as well. We'll also have a confidentiality agreement as well. Most likely a NDA, so a non-disclosure agreement, confidentiality agreement. Although we don't really work with too much sensitive information, it still needs to be defined. And then a large portion of it, like an NDA, may be strategic business, community members' information, who's working on set projects or otherwise, because we also want to respect everybody's privacy. Even though we try to be as open and transparent as possible, maybe somebody wants to volunteer and help with a project, but doesn't want that to be public, or they just don't want their information thrown out there. And so those types of agreements would also be a requirement here. We definitely have a section here as well for regular check-ins, support resources, and so forth as well. We definitely want to support the volunteers. Volunteer rights and responsibilities, some of the different aspects that would be common for these at a broad level. Health and safety. So some of this may also be on site. So, maybe you're going to help us at a booth at a conference one day, or something along those lines. So we definitely want to have that out there. Even though some of this, like driving, for an example, may not apply very often, if ever, still having this dictated in here is important. Recognition and retention. So some of the different ways that we may recognize you and celebrate. Retention strategies for ongoing training, social events, chances for feedback, and so forth. Volunteer development. One of the other things that we already have implemented is every quarter we go through and do a performance review, and then we try to keep that on file as well. So that way, later on down the line, then we can actually pull those and provide those to you, and you could use those in your professional aspects as well. Offboarding and exit procedures. So a resignation, a return of property, exit interview, and then also, some type of certificate or thank you letter of some sort. We also mentioned this data protection that I mentioned, background checks. If you work with any vulnerable people or money, a background check may be required. Volunteer status, you're not an employee, you won't get paid or receive benefits. Policy reviews and updates. I'm also going to drop this other resource too. So this website here is kind of interesting. We're going to bring this to an end in just a moment, but nonprofitrisk.org. This is actually an interesting place. So they have some webinars. They have some other resources like infographics and so forth as well that apply to nonprofit. It's kind of an interesting resource. They have some pretty cool stuff. And then, just the final sign off there as well. So we went over the volunteer policy. We also went over business continuity and asset management policy there as well. We definitely highlighted some different areas that need improvement, which is definitely a main leading thing that we're trying to do here. The last thing that I'm going to leave you with here is the survey once again. So if you guys haven't done so already, it would mean a lot for you guys to go through and spend a few minutes to fill that survey out. That's what I have on the screen right now. That's really going to help us moving forward. And so that way we could provide what the community is requesting and so forth. The ones that we have received, I'm already going through and reviewing. And there's a lot of really awesome recommendations and there's a whole group of people that are requesting that very similar or the same things as well. So I'll catch you guys in Discord. Thank you guys for tuning in on this Wednesday Eve. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you guys tomorrow for our GRC Let's Get Technical, talking about what VPNs actually are and also how you could deploy your own VPN. GRC Mafia.